what's going on, guys? Today we're talking about the way too early top 10 best teams in the NBA for the 2021-2022 season. So number 10, I have the Memphis Grizzlies. So the time is now as far as Ja Morant's concerned. We saw the start of Ja Morant's ascension, as it were, last season. And I think the Grizzlies know that, and I think everyone in the league is aware of that Ja Morant is a future superstar in this league. There are a lot of teams in the NBA playoffs who appear to be trending, flatline or trending downwards. The Grizzlies were trending upwards, and there weren't a whole lot of teams looking like that in the playoffs. So that's why I have the Grizzlies at number 10. At number 9, I actually have the Atlanta Hawks. I'm not 100% sure on what we're going to get for them. Trae Young still has issues from shooting from beyond the arc, and he still has decision-making issues. He is still 22 years old. It's kind of like a player, in football who bobbles the ball but still makes a catch. That's not a spectacular catch. That's just, a good recovery from a drop, right? Yeah, it's cool that they were able to come back from 18 to 25 points down, but what got you to 18 to 25 points down in the first place, right? Coming in at number 8 is going to be the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks are one of those teams that you can just see it. We do see what Luka is able to do for the Olympic Slovenian team, right? As of making this video, they just upset Argentina. We've already seen what the Bucks were able to do with one superstar. If the Mavericks are able to do that similarly to what they did in 2011, but this time with Luka, the sky is the limit. And I only have them at number 8 just because of the way that they're constructed. I don't really see them making a big pole vault forward, but because of Luka, you got to have him at least in the top 10, and I do legitimately think that Luka is better than Ja Morant and Trae Young. Coming in at number 7 is the Utah Jazz. I wasn't really high on the Utah Jazz all year last year. Now, Mike Conley did get hurt. Donovan Mitchell did get hurt. The issues are the issues that they've always had. Rudy Gobert kind of disappears a little bit in the postseason. Donovan Mitchell's a bit streakier in the postseason than he is in the regular season because more people are focusing on him. He's the focal point of an elite playoff team night in and night out during the playoffs, and he struggles with that. Are they going to be able to re-sign Mike Conley? I know a lot of teams have been interested in talking with Mike Conley, so I have my doubts as to whether or not they're going to be able to re-sign Mike Conley. And even if they do get back Mike Conley, how are they going to upgrade? How are they going to get better? They were the number 1 overall seed in the NBA last year, so I felt kind of mean to not put them on the top 10. When I first did the top 10, I was like, where are the Utah Jazz? Honestly, this is the line, right? So there's a line of teams who look very good but don't look championship ready. These next 6 teams, I think, could all potentially win the championship next year. Starting with number 6 being the Los Angeles Clippers. The Los Angeles Clippers, fully healthy, looked like an 8.5 on a scale of 1 to 10. You took away Kawhi Leonard, and all of a sudden, they looked like a 9. Kawhi Leonard's the issue for the Los Angeles Clippers. Might be Patrick Beverley, but I think that a guy as good and as talented as Kawhi Leonard couldn't possibly be the issue for that. But if they can take what they were doing in the Western Conference Finals without Kawhi Leonard and simply add Kawhi Leonard without subtracting anything, they could potentially be the best team in the league. Now, are you going to be able to continue to get that play out of both Reggie Jackson and Paul George, who are both shown a lot of signs of inconsistency? I'm not sure about that. It's going to be one of the major storylines of this offseason is what the Clippers are going to do with Kawhi Leonard. If it's able to turn into a positive, they could definitely contend for an NBA title. Number 5, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. I get, some people might get frustrated at the idea that the NBA champion would be number 5, but, I think the Bucks were just very fortunate for the injuries that they ran into. They didn't really have a true test until the NBA Finals. 2 things when it comes to the Milwaukee Bucks. 1, Giannis had an amazing NBA Finals. And 2, there's something to be said about not having those major injuries. I just don't really see this team repeating. And some people are saying that the Bucks are creating the next dynasty. I think that's super duper far from the truth. I still have issues with Drew Holiday's consistent offensive play as well as Chris Middleton's. And when you have a team that has the experience, that team super quickly gets old. Number 4, I have the Phoenix Suns. I'm curious to see where Chris Paul goes. Chris Paul's got a lot of money waiting for him if he stays at Phoenix, but there was a lot of situations where you watched the Phoenix Suns and you were like, if Chris Paul was not on the court, they would be playing better. That was the issue that the Suns had both against the Clippers and the Bucks, is how are we integrating Chris Paul back when we're playing elite teams, right? And the Suns not only were able to do, more with no playoff experience, imagine what they're going to be able to do with playoff experience. I think as is, the Golden State Warriors are the 3rd best team in the league. it's two things. The Warriors. It's one, you're not putting enough respect on the synergy that Klay Thompson brings back, as well as just the overall play that Klay Thompson brings back. Klay Thompson can guard the best wing player. He can guard the Paul Georges and Devin Bookers of the West, the Luka Doncic's of the West, as well as he can outshoot every single person that I just mentioned. The comparison I think is really solid is Chris Middleton, but he's a more consistent Chris Middleton, right? That's what the Warriors were missing. Imagine what the Bucks would look like without Chris Middleton. Warriors addition of Klay Thompson, championship pedigree, as well as the fact that I'm fairly confident the Warriors are going to do some crazy move this offseason, and they're the only team that didn't make the playoffs last year that I have in the top 10, but the reason they missed the playoffs was Klay Thompson was out with injury for the entire year. Coming in at number 2, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. As in LeBron's changing his number to 6. Anthony Davis is going to come back fully healthy. They're going to assess their point guard problems. They still have one of the best coaches in the league in Frank Vogel. You need to realize that what happened last year with the Lakers happened because of injury. At the end of the day, the Lakers fully healthy. They are the best team in the West. Honorable mentions that I figured I'd just talk about because some teams not being mentioned are kind of interesting. First honorable mention I wanted to talk about is the Detroit Pistons. I made a full video about how good the Pistons are really going to be these next few years. The next honorable mention I have is the New Orleans Pelicans. I think that this is kind of a do or die year for Zion Williamson. I think that if he can prove that he can stay healthy for most of a full season, proving to lead a team to the playoffs, then yeah, we can see where we go from here for Zion Williamson. But if he can't stay healthy this year and they miss the playoffs, the Pelicans are going to have to start thinking about other options, to be real. The next team I have is the Philadelphia 76ers. I know, they were the number 1 seed in the East last year, but it's like, what are their plans? Final honorable mention is going to be the Denver Nuggets. You're not going to have Jamal Murray for like half the year, if not more. And I don't even know what Jamal Murray is going to look like. Torn ACLs are not injuries that people customarily look like they recover from, right? So coming in at number 1 should be fairly obvious. Haven't mentioned the team yet. I know Kyrie's had his injury problems. James Harden's never had an injury problem. Kevin Durant has had his injury problems. I'd like to see them play more together this next season, and I think they will. I legitimately think they will, and that's why I have the Brooklyn Nets as the best team in the league. I was saying when I was talking about the Lakers, this team didn't make the NBA Finals because of injuries and no other reason. So let me know what you guys think. Who do you think are the best teams in the NBA? What are teams that I missed? Go ahead and let me know in those comments down below. What teams are a little bit too high? What about the teams a little bit too low? Let me know in those comments down below there. While you're on your way, don't forget to click that like button to show your support for the channel. Subscribe for even more content. Most importantly of all, have a good day.